Right now, though, let's talk about another drama, the real-life legal drama surrounding Baby Reindeer. Now, the real-life Martha, who was portrayed as a serious stalker in this series, stalking the comedian Richard Gadd. Her name is Fiona Harvey. She now seems to be suing Netflix on both sides of the Atlantic, but in America, in California, Netflix have been hit with a £135 million lawsuit, and it is proceeding at some pace. And the lawyer representing Fiona Harvey, Richard Roth, says that Fiona has a very, very strong case. I'm with Barrister Andrew Eborn. Before we speak to Andrew on his view on all of this, let's remind ourselves of what Fiona Harvey told our very own Piers Morgan here on his his uncensored TV channel, YouTube channel here on Talk a couple of weeks ago.
Have you instructed lawyers?
We've instructed them in part, but we want to explore all the options out there. There are a number of people to sue. We can't all be in 10 courts all at once. So,
who else are you planning to sue?
The Daily Mail. Anyone that's saying this is true and harassing me and that kind of thing.
I'm not sure the Daily Mail did say it's true. I mean, they're just reporting the story, but that'll be for Fiona to decide. However, you and I, Andrew, we've discussed this before, and from my objective standpoint, I think there's something in her case. Richard Roth, an American lawyer. In America, people in your profession, yes, they chase cases. He saw money in this because her case revolves around, you said I was a stalker. Yes. Arguably, she is a stalker. There's a lot of evidence to say, she sent 40,000 emails to Richard Gadd, etc., etc. However, she's never been convicted of stalking and she's never been to prison. Yes. Now, this was a drama, Baby Reindeer, based on a real story, true story. They made a big thing of this. Dramatists love that. Based on a true story. Now, it depicted her. She says, you did not disguise my identity enough. You might say, well, that's pretty obvious since everyone knows who she is now. And therefore, you owe me a lot of money because you effectively said I was convicted of stalking and I went to jail. Accuse someone of going to jail and being convicted of a crime when they weren't, yes, is a very serious defamation.
Absolutely. As you and I unpacked in this very studio, and we predicted what was going to happen. And it's actually, I've looked at all the evidence. I've watched Piers' brilliant interview, not only with the alleged real Baby Reindeer Martha, but also with Richard Roth, the lawyer, the New York lawyer. And he admitted, he said, look, there are 3 reasons I'm doing this. The first one is the money, and there's a lot of money in it. Yeah. So good for him.
I like an honest guy.
You've got to be about
an honest lawyer, my God.
Oh, whatever. No, we're very honest. Lawyers are very honest. But I must pick you up on one thing. It's not, they don't say it's based on a true story. They say, they start off, this is a true story.
There you go. Even stronger.
Stronger than that. Yeah. And I've got a copy, and I read it. I read the claim which they've got in New York. And it's quite interesting. I'll just repeat it here. The above quote is taken from the first episode of the Netflix series, Baby Reindeer, is the biggest lie in television history, is what they say. It is a lie told by Netflix and the show's creator, Richard Gadd, out of greed and lust for fame, a lie designed to attract more viewers, get more attention, to make more money, and to viciously destroy the life of the plaintiff, Fiona Harvey, an innocent woman defamed by Netflix and Richard Gadd. And the problem is, there are 2 things they said. The biggest thing is they said that she was a convicted felon, not once, but twice. Now, what's going to happen
and
is
did time for it.
4.5 years.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of things going to come out. Defamation cases, we said, they're always about evidence. And it's going to be very evidence heavy, and they're going to get lots of people coming in and saying that sort of thing. Basic test we said beforehand is that, have they identified the person in the series? They will. They've got to prove that. Is the baby, is Martha Fiona? You've got to establish
Fiona
that.
Harvey, yeah.
You then have to turn around and say, have they been lowered in the eyes of right-thinking people as a result of it?
Yes, yes.
The final thing is, has she suffered serious damage? What's happened to her sort of reputation and so on and so forth as a result of it? What will then happen is then it goes to, well, is there a defence to the defamation? And the biggest defence to the defamation is it true? So it's going to be very evidence-based. And there's a few things they have to prove. Is one, about the actual crimes themselves. Have any crimes been committed? Because that was the allegation. Secondly, was there 41,000 emails, and there'll be a digital fingerprint for that and everything else. And all of that's going to come out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very, very interesting what's going to happen. And I always say, where there's a hit, there's a writ. And that's clearly happening on that sort of basis.
I like
It's
that.
gonna
When
be-
there's a hit, there's a writ. I guess the new line that's emerging from this saga is that Richard Gadd, the comedian who
Yes.
wrote this, wrote the drama based on his own real life experiences. The lawyers representing Fiona Harvey said, make no mistake, he'll be dragged onto the stand.
Yes.
He'll have to tell his story.
Yeah, and he's not the most reliable of witnesses. He's self-confessed. This is what they say in the same claim. He's self-confessed crack and heroin addict is what they said in the past, and so on and so forth. So there's that sort of stuff. There's also the report, apparently in the Sunday Times at the weekend, that he said he didn't tell Netflix it was a true story. It's sort of, some of it's made up. Bit of artistic
I
license.
read that. I mean, again, this is just what I'm gleaning from the papers, so don't take this to the bank. But I read that Netflix are somewhat miffed because allegedly Richard Gadd did say to them, this is entirely true, including the prison and the conviction.
Yes.
But my prediction on this is, I do think she's got quite a strong case. As I've told you, from the other side of the fence, I've got some experience of libel cases. I'm a newspaper man. I think Netflix will settle.
I can guarantee, well, two things. I've never lost a case, and I can guarantee I could argue either side and win either side. Absolutely, because there are flaws in all of it.
Don't doubt it.
I know it's absolutely, because that's what happens. And I'll tell you what happens.
Next
And
time I'm in trouble, and it won't be long, I'm hiring you.
I'm here for you, Kev, anytime. As I pointed out beforehand, there are certain things, if you're going to establish damage, there's lots of things you have to prove. How to turn around and say, look, is she behaving in the way that somebody who's damaged would? And there's evidence that she might have had an appearance or been booked for an appearance at a nightclub. And one of the lines was, well, come, you might be lucky to get a few selfies, you might be able to go home with her and hang her curtains. That was one of the lines from the advert for the things. Is that a woman who's scorned and being damaged? You have to work on that basis.
Yeah, and also, you know, she's going to have a lot of trouble saying I'm not a stalker. But what she's going to say is, I'm not a stalker to the extent I've been convicted or sent to jail. In that respect, you've defamed me, and I think that is defamation.
Well, it is defamation, but the defence is, well, there's a couple of things.
Well, they're saying it has no merit, but they're going to have to move on from that.
To say somebody's convicted anything is clearly going to bring them down in the eyes of right-thinking people. Maybe. You work on that sort of basis. Is there a defence to it? But the other thing is, Netflix at the end, whilst they said this is a true story at the beginning, they put some of the facts, at the very end, they put a little bit of a disclaimer saying, some of it's there and some of
But
it's
there's a settlement
made up.
in the air. Isn't
Oh,
it?
as happened in the Queen's Gambit, they said
they've
last
done it
time,
before.
as happened in
They've done it
Griselda,
before.
they will settle.
Andrew,